Hi guys, welcome back. We are ready to do our next lesson in the new little series that we're doing. Today we are going to read a story called Hoo Goo Po. Now, we talked yesterday about how our first three stories were very similar with Cinderella, but they were told in different countries. And then three stories after that were very similar about people that were very tiny, like Tom Thumb, and they were set in different countries. Now, yesterday we started a new lesson called Little Riding Hood, and we are going to listen to two more stories similar to Little Red Riding Hood. Now, yesterday we learned that Little Red Riding Hood was set in Germany. Well, today's story, Hoo Goo Po, is set in China. So before we talk about that, though, let's look at our vocabulary words that we might need to know. I'm going to share my screen. And then we will look at our map to see where China is compared to where we are. So let me present this. Okay, so let's see. First vocabulary word is alarmed, feeling a sense of danger, worried or frightened. My dog was alarmed and began to bark when the postman approached the door. Cunning, sly, or able to trick others. Now, we heard the word sly in our last lesson was kind of mean to be tricky. So cunning can mean to be tricky also. The cunning wolf disguised himself in the sheep's skin. Latch, it's like a lock. Lee would sometimes forget to latch the backyard gate. Perplexed, confused, unable to understand something clearly. Olivia, perplexed, stared at the puzzle until the answer suddenly came to her. Strict, demanding that people obey rules or behave in a certain way. My school has strict rules for behavior or field trips. All right, now let's look at our map, our world map. Now, yesterday we were all the way over here in Germany, or not in Germany. Yeah, we were in Germany. Today we went all the way over here into China. Now, China is part of the Asian continent. And again, we are way over here. So if you were actually looking at a globe, we could fly instead of going this way, we could actually go this way, and China would actually be here if it was on our globe. So China is actually a little bit closer than Germany was. So we could, well, it's about the same, but we could fly a shorter distance this way than we would this way if we were going that way. So today is China. So let's look at our story and see what lesson we might learn. I wonder how this is similar to Little Red Riding Hood. All right, here we go. And I'm sorry if I say some of these words wrong. I don't speak Chinese. I'm sorry. A long time ago in a rural southern China, there lived a mother and her two young daughters. Ah Xing was the eldest daughter, and Li Hao was the youngest. Ah Xing and Li Hao and their mother raised silkworms and sold their silk at the local market. So a silkworm kind of looks similar to what a caterpillar would look like, and it produces silk thread that you can use to make cloth for dresses and clothes. One sunny fall morning, the girl's mother set off to the local market to sell the silk thread they had spun. However, on this particular occasion, she had decided to leave some silk thread behind so that she could make two new silk dresses for her daughters. Before the girls' mothers left, she gave them strict, serious instructions to stay inside the house. Okay, so I'm already seeing similarities. Little Red Riding Hood's mother told her to stay on the path and don't go anywhere else. This mom is telling the two girls, stay inside the house. Do not go outside, said the mother said to the girls. I have heard rumors that Hoo Goo Po has come down into the foothills. She is a tiger that disguises herself as an old woman and tries to trick people. Please latch the door as soon as I leave. Remember, that means to lock. So what are mom's instructions? She tells her, stay inside the house and lock the door. Don't go outside. Make sure that door's locked. Okay. We will not go outside, promised Ah Xing. I will lock the door and we will spend our time cleaning the house. We will be right here waiting for you, promised Li Hao. And so the mother kissed her daughters and disappeared into the early morning mist that was rising up from the warm earth. Immediately, the two girls set to work. They scrubbed the floor and dusted all the nooks and crannies of their small farmhouse. It was almost midday by the time they were finished. The sun was shining bright and the birds were chirping loudly when the girls heard a knock on the door. Oh, who do you— Do not answer the door, said Ah Xing to her younger sister. I will find out who it is. Ah Xing stood in front of the locked door and asked, Who's there? Hello, my dear, said the voice that sounded as ancient as the hills. I have been walking for many miles. I wonder, could you spare a cup of water? Ah Xing was perplexed or confused. She knew that she should not open the door, but somehow she felt that this old woman, or an old woman it appeared to be, was in need of help. Hmm, what were Mother's instructions? Stay inside and lock the door, right? What do you think Ah Xing will do? I hope she doesn't disobey Mom, but let's read on and find out. I cannot open the door, explained Ah Xing, but I can pass a cup of water through the open window. Thank you, my dear, replied the somewhat croaky voice. You are very kind. Ah Xing filled a cup of water from the bucket that contained drinking water from their well. Hmm. Oh, there's the old woman. Here you are, she said as she passed the cup through the open window. The old woman now stood before the window. She took the cup in her old wrinkly hand and drank from it. When she was done, she handed the cup back to Ah Xing. How sweet your well water is, said the old woman. Thank you, said Ah Xing. As she spoke, Ah Xing looked more closely at the woman. She, just like her hands, her face was old and wrinkly. However, the woman had the most peculiar golden amber eyes that Ah Xing had ever seen. I don't suppose you have a little rice to spare, asked the old woman. As it happened, Li Hao had just cooked rice for lunch. Yes, we have some rice we can give you, shouted Li Hao as she eagerly placed some in a small porcelain bowl. Then she rushed to the window and handed the old woman the bowl and some chopsticks. The old woman looked at Li Hao and licked her lips. Why, thank you, my dear, said the old woman, all the while staring intently at Li Hao. I don't suppose you would let me sit for a minute or two while I eat this delicious rice? Asked the old woman. Of course you can, exclaimed Li Hao, and before Ah Xing could stop her, Li Hao ran to the door, unlocked it, and opened it. Oh boy, did she follow Mom's orders? Nope. In the blink of an eye, the old woman was in the house and sitting at the kitchen table. It was as if she had appeared by magic. Ah Xing began to feel alarmed. Why might she start feeling alarmed? Do you think she might be that tiger in disguise? Maybe. Let's keep reading and find out. Are you here all alone? Asked the old woman. Yes, replied Li Hao. Mother has gone to sell the silk thread our silkworms produce. She told us to stay inside for safety, and that is what we have done, continued Li Hao proudly. I see, replied the old woman. You are very wise girls. There are all kinds of dangers in the outside world. Well, as you have finished your rice, interrupted Ah Xing, I am sure you will want to be on your way. I am almost finished, replied the old woman, who, despite her words of praise, did not seem to like eating rice. There are only two more things that I need. Oh, what are they? Asked Li Hao. Ah Xing guessed the answer just as the cunning old woman uttered the words. Two young girls, explained the old woman. Dun, dun, dun. Once again, as if by magic, the old woman's movements were quick and sudden. She produced a sack, and before Ah Xing could stop her, she snatched Li Hua and placed her inside it. Okay, let's take a moment and pause. Who have we met so far? We've met Ah Xing, Li Hua. We kind of met Mom at the beginning, but now we've met this old lady who we think is an old lady, but we're not quite sure. She might be someone as disguised, maybe. Hmm. Who knocks on this door? That old lady. And what did the woman do to Li Hua? She snatched her up in the sack. What do you think she's going to do with her? You think she's going to eat her like the wolf did to Little Red Riding Hood? I don't know. Let's keep reading. You are older, announced the old woman, and probably not very tasty. I am not sure that I want the trouble of carrying you into the mountains. As the old woman was speaking, Ah Xing reached for some of the spun silk thread that her mother had left behind. It had been wound around in small bunches in a branch of a mulberry bush. Ah Xing secretly placed it inside the pocket of her dress. Ah Xing had, though, decided that she would let the old woman leave without her. Oh, she would not let the old woman leave without her. Sorry, I read that wrong. So why might Ah Xing have reached for the silk thread? I don't know. Maybe she's going to use it to try to save her sister. Maybe. Let's keep reading and find out. I want to be with my sister, replied Ah Xing. Very well, said the old woman. Into the sack you go. And in an instant, Ah Xing found herself stuffed inside the sack beside her sister. It was clear to Ah Xing that the old woman had remarkable strength. She carried them with relative ease. After a while, the old woman stopped and placed the sack containing the two girls on the ground. Moments later, the sisters could hear someone or something noisily drinking water. As this was happening, excuse me, pardon me, Ah Xing whispered to her sister to be quiet. Then she used the mulberry branch that held the silk thread to poke a hole in the sack. What she saw scared her half to death. Instead of an old woman, there was a tiger sitting on the edge of a large glistening lake. The old woman was really Hugu Po. So the tiger pretended to be an old woman in order to trick the girls. Like how the wolf pretended to be grandmother in order to trick Little Red Riding Hood. Incredibly, instead of continuing onward, the tiger lay down in the afternoon sunshine and went to sleep. While the tiger slept, Ah Xing slowly pulled at the hole in the sack until it was wide enough for her to crawl through. She motioned to her sister to quietly follow her. The girls crept forward or toward the sleeping tiger. Ah Xing for the silk thread inside her pocket. Then, using the thread, the girls tied together the tiger's front and back legs. Just as they were finished, the tiger woke up and roared loudly. The tiger tried to free itself, but the yards of silk thread that had been wound around its legs held it fast. The girls ran like the wind back to their small farmhouse in the foothills. They hurried into their house and slammed the door and locked it. When their mother finally returned home, she hugged her daughters tightly. We told you that we would be here waiting for you, said Ah Xing and Li Hua together. What lesson do you think they learned from this little adventure? I hope it's to listen and follow mother's directions to stay home and lock the door when she tells them to. Because my goodness, they were on a little adventure. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to talk about our story real quick. All right, and you're going to help me because I'm going to ask you some questions. Better pay attention because you might have an assignment to go with it. So why does mom or mother leave her children alone at the beginning of the story? She goes to the market so she can sell her silk threads. And what were the girls' instructions from mother? They were to stay inside and latch the door. So they had to stay where they were. They couldn't leave the house.
Hmm. Okay.
When the old woman knocks on the door, what does she say she wants from the children? Yeah, she wants a cup of water and a small bowl of rice. So, how does the old woman trick the girls into letting her in the house? She asks if she can sit down to eat the rice, and Lihawa let her in, didn't she? Yep. How did the sisters escape from the tiger? They waited till it was asleep, poked the hole in the sack with a mulberry stick, and then tied its legs together with the silk thread. All right. Do you think this story could really happen? No, this isn't real. It's a fiction story. Animals don't really talk, do they? No. Okay, so your job today is to go into Google Classroom, answer the questions you have on your document, and return it to me. Okay, now we've discussed all of these questions already, so you shouldn't have any problem answering them. Okay, and I will see you guys on the next lesson. Bye.